So let's get started. I'm talking today about efxclipse, JavaFX tooling and runtime for the Eclipse platform. My name is Tom Schindl. I'm CTO of a small company located in Tyrol, Western Austria. I'm a committer of various Eclipse projects, starting from Eclipse 4, where I wrote the first prototype implementation of the new Eclipse platform that you are using nowadays. I'm a member of the platform UI team, of the EMF team, and I'm the main head developer of efxclipse. What is efxclipse? efxclipse is a project open source project led by bestsolution.at. All sources are provided on the EPL. Even all stuff that I'm showing off as demonstrations in this talk are EPL code, so they are free. You can use them, work with them, use them in your applications under the terms of EPL. We started the project approximately 2 years ago, where JavaFX 2.0 was going to be released, so I started working on it. We have releases every 6 to 8 weeks, and each release has 2,500 downloads per release. And we have community support on our webpage, and commercial support you can buy from bestsolution.at. So we proposed the project as an Eclipse project. I think it was in March around, and we are now in the current status is we are in initial IP review, and we expect to finish the transition to Eclipse Foundation in May 2013. So in this month, we hope to finish it. What you should take away from this talk is JavaFX, for me, is a cool new technology to write UIs in Java. And what's very important is that UIs in JavaFX can look completely different than UIs than you write, for example, in SWT, who are really bound to the widget toolkit on the native system. So you can compete with Flash, Silverlight, the web, HTML5 in your applications because they can look really smooth. And what you should also take away is not all technologies at Eclipse are bound to SWT. You can use them with Swing, you can use them with any technology stack you want to use them. They don't need SWT as the widget toolkit to be used. JavaFX itself is a multimedia toolkit in the end. It knows how to draw rectangles and circles on the screen. And it does that using native technologies like DirectX and OpenGL on the system, so you can do very cool animation stuff with it. I'm going to demonstrate this in demonstration without bothering your CPU, because everything is rendered on the GPU. So you can really make good-looking UIs without going to the CPU to render stuff, but let the GPU do all the heavy work to draw shadows and all the things. Well, when we talk about look and feel, if you're used to SWT, your UI always looked like the one on the native system. And that's a difference than in JavaFX, where the UI is really drawn itself. It's similar to Swing, where it can look completely different to what you're used to. But there are projects in JavaFX space that try to mimic the native operating system look and feel. And I have here a small application brought with me, where you see how far you can get with that. If you're used to the Mac layout, this is an application written in JavaFX, which really looks like the native implementation of the thing. So it's really an emulation, it's the network stack. So if you compare those together, you don't really see a difference between them. It's really, you can really go fairly native with JavaFX if you put some effort in writing your custom widget or your theme in the end. So it blends really nice into your operating system. Let's go back to our presentation. We lost the context. Skip this. Well, now let's talk a little bit about the two phases of the efxclipse project. First, there's the tooling. You need to have a tool to write JavaFX applications. And the second part of it is you need runtime components to make applications. Like, for example, Eclipse, we have the RCP framework to write applications. You need something like that for JavaFX as well, right? So to really bootstrap your applications in no time instead of writing everything on your own. So the first part that I'm going to talk about is the tooling. When we start with tooling, the first thing that you need is you need wizards to bootstrap your application, to create a project in Eclipse. And the real problem with JavaFX is it's on no class path at all. So if you install Java, you have JavaFX on your system, but it's not on the class path, not on the boot class path, nor on the extension class path. So what we provide to you, a tight integration with Eclipse, that we create a so-called class path container for you, which integrates JavaFX, the jar, into your Eclipse project, so you can use the controls that they're providing and all the features of the toolkit. The next thing is JavaFX is themed using CSS. So you're not using your Java code to make a background color change to blue or something like that. You define a CSS style sheet which defines this button has to be rendered in blue. So it's not done using Java code but CSS like you used to it from HTML, from the web in the end. But the special thing about JavaFX is it has completely different properties. There is no background property. So you have to have an editor who knows all the properties that you can set on JavaFX controls. And to create your UI, you can do it all in Java, but there's a tool called Scene Builder, and this tool is what you see is what you get editor, and it doesn't produce Java code, but it produces FXML and XML format that defines your UI. So instead of doing it in code, you do it in a markup language called FXML. And that's where we have an editor for it as well. And at the end, when you create your complete application, you want to deploy the application, so you need to create a deliverable out of it. For example, an MSI package for Windows, or an RPM package for Linux, or a DMG package for Mac to deploy it. And when you have such a deployment unit, for example, you can put the stuff on, for example, the Mac App Store, so that people can install it on the system, not by downloading it, but going to the Mac App Store and installing the application. So that's the first demonstration I'm doing. I'm showing you the tooling in action. So I'll do a lot of live coding in here now. So the first thing that we have created a JavaFX application, and then we want to create a so-called FXML document, and we call it sample. So the first thing, it's an FXML file, but if you H over here, you see there's the Java doc of the real Java application element that you're really using if you would write Java code. So it feels like an editor in Java. Then we have, for example, this border pane has a property center, and you see once more we have auto-completion on the right-hand side, we have the Java doc of the element. Then we can put here an element called button with a text called hello world. Now you could now think I could now make up how the UI looks like, but we have a very nice feature. We call it a live preview. This preview presents you, on the top is the FXML document, on the lower hand you see how the real resulting UI looks like. And this is a live thing, so if I change the document up here, you see this guy down there reloads itself and really shows you the UI that you're constructing while you're typing. That's the first thing that we're doing. The second thing, well, we can now launch the application as a real application, run as Java application. It does not work. Oops. Oh yeah, I know why it's not working, because I missed to create a file called message properties. So let's start it once more, and it shows up the UI that you would really deploy. Now we have created our complete application. The next thing that we want to do, we want to export it. The last step in our process. So we have here a small file where you can enter which class it has to start, and then you simply hit the on build XML and run button, and now it kicks off, creates an on file, and runs the build. You now see, because I'm on Mac, it packaged up my complete GDK plus my app into a so-called DMG package, and this guy I could send to the Mac App Store so that people can deploy it or install it on their system. That's all. So we have the complete process from project creation to editing support to deployment in the end. The complete process is taken for you. So now we have a DMG package generated. I could show you how to start it, but we will move on. So that's the first thing, the basic tooling. Now, that's the basic thing that we have. The next thing that you need is advanced tooling. So you need an editor for the CSS style sheet, as I said. I don't like to edit FXML files. XML is a very noisy language, so I created a JavaScript object notation-like language with the Xtext framework that I called FXGraph. And I'll show you in a minute how it looks like. It looks like JavaScript object notation to create the UI that you want to see. And of course, we are Eclipse, where we are used to OSGi as a runtime component. So we have tooling to help you to get started with an OSGi JavaFX project for you. And the last thing, which is a very cool feature, when you have SVG files, you can convert them to FXML so that you can really load them into your JavaFX application and apply animations on them, for example. I will show a short demo of that as well. So that's all part of the advanced tooling. So let's get started and take a look at the advanced tooling. The first thing that we have this FXML file, and now we want to convert it in a so-called FXGraph file. The FXGraph file looks like this. So it's more JavaScript object notation-like. So we have the same features that you used to. Here we have, for example, on top, we create a label as well and put in here another text, hello. The same thing applies as to the FXML file. Now you see the live preview. Instead of representing your FXML file, it simply shows off the the FXGraph file. Here we can, for example, add a controller. So when we hit the button, we want to have Java code running off at the system. So we now define a controller class, my controller, and now we connect this controller, this class to my controller. We can now say to the button on action, call a controller method, run, baby, run. And you should now see that it marks this guy in yellow because it says, oh, there is no method I could call on the controller, so it gives you auto completion or quick fix assist. I can say now generate a method in my controller which says run, baby, run. So whenever I hit the button in the system, this method is called, and I can in there go to my web service, download stuff or something like that. So that's the connection between your UI and how you connect it to Java code in the end. Once more, the tooling provides you all the helps that you need. A very nice feature for this is as well is that we can create a CSS style sheet. Sample CSS. And now let's redefine the background color of the border pane. Control space, it shows me all the possible features or attributes I can set here. It gives me a wizard so I can set the background color to something different. So now, when you edit a CSS style sheet, we want to have the same feature that we have in FXML, that we directly see what the CSS gets applied to our preview. So we can tell the FXGraph file that this guy is styled with sample CSS, and when I now hit Control Save, it takes the CSS file, applies it on the system. So when we go here to the CSS file and, for example, redefine the button, we can also say fx font size to 20 points. When I hit save, oh, it did not work. I have a typo in here. You saw now it really applies the CSS that is connected to our FXGraph file on the fly. So you can really write the UI and immediately see how it looks like when it's deployed on the system. A very cool feature, I think, of our tooling. It's unique to the tooling that we have at Eclipse. Nor NetBeans nor IntelliJ has this feature at the moment. So it's really a very cool thing that we provided at Eclipse. So I also said I will show you if my system is not going down. So my Mac crashed.
That's not possible.
That's not possible. Yeah, but it's possible. Sometimes it's possible. So only the second monitor crashed because correct. So go back, monitor, synchronize screens. So I said that we have this advanced tooling where we have an SVG file. For example, this guy is an SVG file, and we can now convert this SVG file using our tooling to a so-called FXML file. Once more an FXML file, we can show it in the preview. So that's now converted into JavaFX system, and we can now, for example, run animation stuff on it. So that's the FXML file. We take it and, for example, apply animations on it to do cool stuff with it. So a very nice feature that we have by simply converting the SVG file to something that JavaFX understands and can apply transformations on it. Okay, that's it for the advanced tooling that we have. Now let's go to the basic runtime. What we have, if you use the SWT, we have layout panels that are similar to SWT ones. So the grid pane or the grid layout from SWT, we have some panes. We have some dialogues that you can use, like the JFace dialog, similar in JavaFX. We have support for choose in FXML, that you can use injection there. And the most important thing I'm going to talk a little about is our OSGi support. So that you can use JavaFX and OSGi together. They are not a natural fit because Oracle messed up many things in JavaFX that they don't run directly on OSGi, but we were able to fix most of the problems together with Oracle, so that now with JavaFX 2.2 and JavaFX 8, you can really use JavaFX with OSGi very good together. Why are we doing this stuff that we can get things integrated into OSGi? So I have here a small application. No, I have no application anymore. It's crashed. So we have, no, that's the wrong IDE. This guy. So you can write, once you have this stuff integrated in OSGi, you can write something like a small IDE with JavaFX and Eclipse technologies. Everything at Eclipse is based on OSGi and, for example, GDT. Here I have a simple application that connects to GDT to give you auto completion. So I can get now here and say button, let's see if I can find the correct one, button b dot. And so now in the background you see the Eclipse compiler running. You see that I get error markers from Eclipse, that I have syntax errors in my system. Button, hello, and now I can say pane, set center, and our button node on it. The compiler is running in the background, so let's go here and say run. Now we can really run off the application because it's compiled in the background. We use all the Eclipse technologies. And that's only possible because we have everything running in OSGi. From the logic that you see here, we have GDT core, the Eclipse Java compiler. On the right-hand side, you didn't notice that, but that's a browser that you saw where the editing area was, where I edited, that was a browser widget. Because JavaFX integrates something called WebView, which is nothing more than a WebKit browser running into your JavaFX application. In there we had the Orion framework, which provided the editor, and then we communicated between JavaScript and Java, send back and forth informations that we got the pop-ups with the auto-completions and all the stuff in it. So it's really very cool. At the very moment that you have JavaFX running in OSGi, you have access to all Eclipse technologies because they all build upon OSGi in the end. Another small application that I think really shows off the power is a system I call FX43 or Effects for Free. The idea is to have something similar than a tablet operating system where you have a GVM, OSGi. Below that you have my framework, and then you write small applications like a browser app or a media app. It looks like this when you have it running on the system. So you have this small application, you click on it, it flies in, and then you can go to a web page and say, present me this web page. Once more, simply integrated view. What you can do at the very moment you have OSGi running is that you can install applications at runtime to it. So let's go here. We have our system, and now we are really installing a new application for my Eclipse workspace. Now I've installed a new application, and I can launch this guy as well. Hello, Boston. That's wrong. That was for Eclipse. For Eclipse. It's here. So if I change that to hello Florence, and I have to stop the application, restart it once more. Oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. So this guy, it's empty once more, install a new application so that it's really live. So now we see hello Florence, right? So, well, when I made up this guy, I didn't knew that there are people like that Oracle is going to release Java for ARM processors. So now we have Ubuntu for ARM, we have Java for ARM, so we can now create really our own desktop system on a tablet using pure open source technologies in the end, right? So that's going to be something that we are going to explore further in our company to create something for industrial companies that who want to create that tablet system running on open source technologies. Okay, but there is more to it. I'm coming from Eclipse 4, so what we have is we have Eclipse 4 from the design of it is the way that we have this core application platform, we have the dependency injection container, you have the services, you have the model, and by default what Eclipse is shipping with it is an SWG implementation of the UI. But from the initial designs of Eclipse 4 we had the idea that we want to have this replaceable so that the core framework is not bound to SWG, and what we are doing in efxclipse is that we simply exchange SWT to JavaFX, and now you can write applications using the Eclipse framework together with JavaFX instead of SWT. And I've brought with me some small applications. Once more, I'm going to demonstrate. So, the first demonstration is the famous Eclipse 4 context demo, if it gets up. So now you see an Eclipse application rendered using JavaFX instead of SWT. So it has all the features that you used to. The cool thing about this app, it uses EMF in the background to have things like undo and redo support. So as you see, I can undo and redo actions without any extra code that I have to write. People who used to EMF, that's not something very cool. What we have as well is a small application. It's the media product. It shows how you can do animations with the framework. So we have here a picture, which we can zoom in and zoom out. Then the really nice thing is that we can play videos in our Java application. We can resize them while they are running. We can switch now. And now let's say we want the transition between those slides to be a little bit more flashy. So if we now translate to our next scene, we have this animation running. No CPU involved, only GPU is involved in this transition and all the stuff. So you can really write amazing applications with it. The last application that I wrote is something that I call, it's a small IDE. I can log in here once more, John and Git. So I can write, for example, a small application using Eclipse technologies once more. It's this time on the right-hand side you don't see an editor, a browser, but this time it's really pure JavaFX connected to GDT. And now I can once more write button. It shows me button, new, button, hello, world, p set or p set center, and let's give the button here. Once more, compile in the background. When I run it, it really shows off the UI if I didn't make any mistake. Okay, that's it for me. In time. So do you have any questions on all the stuff that I showed you? Just the final slides, so for the credits. So all stuff that I showed is EPL code. You can find the sources on my GitHub repo, some of them going to be merged into the Eclipse repos, and final credits for the icons that I used, and information about me, where you can find me on Twitter, our home pages. So, any questions on all the stuff that I showed? Okay, then we are done. Thanks.